the control the and are consistently. None of what I just said is a swear word or obscene in any way, but it's something you can't talk about on online platforms. Hi folks, I'm Paul, and this is my take. Censorship is an important issue, especially in the United States, where we have a constitutionally protected right to speech, the First Amendment. It's number one for a reason, but it's become especially important as society has migrated to a more online universe. Everything has become digitized, and that's come with a lot of upsides and a lot of downsides. We are able to share our thoughts and ideas instantaneously with more people than at any other point in human history. But we are also at a much higher risk of being silenced. Our ability to voice our opinions and ideas to the masses is essentially at the whim of whoever is controlling these digital town squares. And the digital town squares are social media platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X. I'm sorry, I'm trying really hard. X is a stupid name. Freedom of speech on that one. It's stupid. It's not sticking. And this discussion is especially important right now because we thought we were in an era where the idea behind the First Amendment was finally going to be protected and upheld by the digital town square with Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter, now X. When he bought the platform, he did so with great fanfare. Hashtag free the bird or something like that. And for a while we had that, at least I think we did. People were still occasionally banned or suspended, but it wasn't for speech-related violations. It was for things like manipulation of the platform through bots or spamming, illegal promotions of specific materials, typically things that people were trying to do to generate money in seedy ways. But speech, words, those were protected. People were posting opinions, thoughts, ideas that had never been discussed on this platform before. Discussions were being had right out in the open. Ideas being shared that had been suppressed for ages. And yeah, a lot of ugly words were thrown around. A lot of ugly ideas were thrown around. They're still being thrown around. But free speech includes all speech. You got to take the crunchy with the smooth. And now I'm worried that we're starting to see the shadows of censorship creeping back into the town square. Censorship really only happens for one of two reasons. You silence someone because they are saying something profane or obscene, or because they are saying something that is true. 2 years ago, if you were on Twitter and you said something like, "There are only two genders," you could be suspended for that. I can't see anything remotely profane or obscene about saying something like, "There are only two genders." So one would probably have to conclude that if somebody said that, they were being censored not because it was obscene, but because it was true. Last week we saw a wave of bans wash across X. There was a huge dust-up about the discussion regarding H-1B visas and the reason for maintaining the system as it currently is. I won't go into the minutiae of that because I think it's been covered pretty well. Sam Hyde did an amazing video responding to Elon Musk, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. But this discussion got pretty heated. Lots of ideas were shared, lots of opinions, lots of data, just so much data. I learned so much about the topic just from people discussing it and sharing their ideas, their thoughts, and data. People brought a lot of receipts to this discussion. It was tense. People were angry. Elon Musk told half the platform to go f themselves. But it was amazing. The ideas were able to compete with one another because everyone was able to speak. Everyone was able to talk about it, free of any worry of censorship. And in my opinion, Elon's side of the argument lost because the other side was significantly more convincing in the ideas and the information that they brought forth. There was a lot of offensive and unnecessarily rude language thrown around. But like I said, you got to take the crunchy with the smooth. And here's how I actually know Elon's side lost the argument. They started banning people for things that they said. At least I think that's why. I haven't seen any evidence for any other reasons as of yet. A bunch of accounts got suspended. Over a dozen Groyper accounts got completely nuked in the wake of this H-1B visa discussion. Now I have most of these accounts muted because I think they're tactless, they're spurgs who are largely bad for our movement, but they shouldn't have their ability to speak revoked because they said something that you or I or Elon Musk didn't like. Maybe you could argue that they were nuked because they were being profane or obscene, but that's a tough case to make when this platform simultaneously allows I think a lot of people are confused and frustrated right now because there was a relative amount of clarity regarding the rules to this platform. And now nobody is sure what any of this means. Freedom of speech includes all speech, even negative speech, even ugly speech. And as soon as you start making carve-outs, as soon as you say, okay, freedom of speech, but we'll be algorithmically hiding things that make users have regretted seconds, the clarity is then gone. Nobody knows what regretted user seconds are. And now everyone is worried that there's going to be this chilling effect over their ability to speak freely. And the frequent counter to this is, well, freedom of speech doesn't include freedom of reach. But my response is, actually, it kind of does. If you have something to say, something that carries truth, something that resonates with people, even if it's unpopular, even if seeing that truth results in regretted user seconds, that message shouldn't be suppressed. Important ideas, important thoughts are often controversial, and you can either allow all of them to be discussed and debated, or you can't call yourself pro-First Amendment. You can't call yourself pro-free speech. And this is how censorship always begins. They start by silencing the quote-unquote worst among us. That's always the first step in shrinking the ability to speak freely. The worst among us are always an easy and first target. Am I in a rush to defend Groypers? No. They've been very rude to me personally. I'm not enthusiastic about defending them, but I will. Because I have to, because I know that if I don't, if we allow this kind of censorship to stand, then we know it'll just happen again to the next person who says something too offensive, too outside the Overton window. And it'll only be a matter of time before we're back to a world where saying something like, there are only two genders, or something like that, something that is that obvious, becomes offensive and censored. And it does go beyond this. There's a sequence of actions that Musk and those surrounding him have taken that have really rubbed me and a lot of other people the wrong way within the last couple of weeks. Christmas Day, he has his take about the H-1B visas, and people disagree with him. Over the course of the next few days, they bring down the ban hammer and start censoring people for their takes. And then a week later, Musk comes out and calls out the UK government for silencing a recent scandal that has finally come to light after over a decade of this, in which many people colluded with one another to silence the truth. It's all very hypocritical, and I can no longer really respect him as a warrior for anti-censorship when he allows the same kind of censorious behavior to play out on the platform that he bought and rebuilt to reject expressly that. I think Twitter became a better platform when he bought it. Yeah, it came with a lot of cringe jokes and rude words, but it finally opened up so many opportunities to have discussions that really needed to be had. And it could still be the free speech platform that we were all promised, but they would need to reverse their action and allow everyone to speak, even if those people have stuff to say that we don't really want to hear. Otherwise, you run the risk of censoring the truth. That's all I've got for today. But what do you think? Is it ever acceptable to silence someone for their speech? I actually think in certain circumstances it is, but not this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, if you enjoy my content and want to see more, I'd really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I will see y'all next time.